Welcome back, listeners, to Hindsight is Horrifying. This week with your hostess with the mostest, Darth Jader, and her co-host, Jason. Say hi, Jason.
Hello, everybody.
We are taking a look at the 1988 cult classic by Tim Burton himself, Beetlejuice. This was actually one of Jason's picks, so instead of boring you with one of my Google descriptions, I'm going to let Jason describe the plot of the movie to you.
Well, you can bore him with it later.
Oh, okay. I love reading those little descriptions.
1988, a classic Tim Burton movie. This is from that very, very brief period in Tim Burton's life before he knew who Johnny Depp was.
And before he divorced Helena Bonham Carter, in which case I got custody of Johnny, so...
Yeah,
times are better now. What can I say?
Boy, I would have loved to have gone to that wedding.
I can't even imagine.
I mean, can you just imagine?
I literally can't. I sort of see her with the big Alice in Wonderland head as the Queen of Hearts. I could almost see him dressing as Beetlejuice for his own wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if Johnny Depp had been alive at this point in time.
What? How old do you think Johnny Depp is?
I don't know.
He's actually older than you, Jason. So he
is
was.
He?
Yeah.
He's an old man?
Yeah. An older man.
Oh. Well, anyway. So, 1988's classic Beetlejuice, which tells the story of two people, a married couple, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis.
Also known as the Maitlands.
Yeah, whatever. Nobody knows that.
Yeah, you kind of breeze by the first part of the movie. That's very true. So
this is definitely a movie that, it does its groundwork establishing what needs to be established. Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis.
Young married couple
who live in this sort of semi-idyllic farmhouse. It's in Connecticut? Yeah, Connecticut.
Out in the country somewhere. Yeah. I'm not sure.
And
Alec Baldwin wears checkers shirts and
yes,
khakis.
he does.
And I'm pretty sure Hush Puppies, if we could see them. I can't see his shoes right now, but...
He probably does. I would dress it. It looks comfortable.
It does look like an outfit you would wear. Yeah. It's a very dad outfit.
The red t-shirt with the flannel, checkered on top of it.
Get a little layering going on.
Which actually this movie does prove a point. Be careful what you wear, because if you die, you're going to be wearing it forever.
Oh, no, that's a thing. Like, even that was a quote on Gilmore Girls once, but way back in season 1. They were getting rid of some clothes and donating them, and the daughter, Rory, was like, Mom, get rid of everything in your closet that you'd be embarrassed to wear during a car crash or be found dead in or something to that effect.
I mean, Gina Davis is going to have that floral print sort of Elaine Bennis outfit on forever.
It's very dress/smock looking.
Yeah. That was a thing back then.
Yeah. It was the look back in the 80s. But yeah, they're a happy couple married, and we find out... their nosy, bitchy neighbor who keeps trying to force them to sell their beautiful house because they are committing the ultimate sin of not filling it with children.
I think, it's very weird
Jane.
how... The neighbor exists solely for the purpose of establishing that they don't have kids and it's a sad thing. That's the whole reason that character is there. And also establishing that your house would be really, attractive to people from, say, New York who might want to buy it if you were to die.
Just in case. Yeah. And then 10 seconds later, it seems like that's exactly what happens. So.
Right. Well, and, there's sort of... You get the impression that the couple... had tried to have a baby and it didn't work, and maybe there was a pregnancy that didn't go to term, and
possible in a miscarriage situation, something like that. Yeah.
So there's just a little bit of characterization there, but that's really not important at all because they die.
They die, in the first 10 minutes of the movie, when they're going to town, because Alec Baldwin is actually building an exact replica of his town up in his attic, and I think they go to town for more. Craft supplies for his little model.
He does have a pretty cool workshop, though. I would like to have that workshop.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool
up in the attic.
Pretty cool man cave he's got going on up there with his big 80s glasses and.
Now wait a minute, isn't his workshop in the attic?
Yeah, he's in the basement right now, but he works on his model up in the attic because that's the room, and we get to that in a minute. That's the room that the Dietzes can't get into.
Right.
So, so they go to town to sort of swiffen up the summary. The Maitlands go to town for more craft supplies for Alec Baldwin and end up crashing off a bridge and drowning in the creek.
Yeah.
And then they don't realize that they're dead until they reappear back in their home and discover that fantastic book.
Yeah, the Handbook for the Recently Deceased.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's a plot that really only somebody like Tim Burton could pull off.
Well, especially with the random parameters of it, because the rest of the movie is essentially the Dietz family, Jeffrey Jones, Catherine O'Hara, and Winona Ryder move into the house, and the Maitlands can't stop them directly because, as they learn in the afterlife, which is basically the DMV, but with body parts and dead people, they find that they're not allowed to directly interfere with the living, and that the living don't tend to notice the dead anyway. So, but they've got to find a way to spook the Dietzes out of their house if they want it back.
Yeah, and that ends up being sort of, that's the thrust of the movie, is the fact that they die, they become ghosts, they adjust to it very quickly.
Oh, they take it in total stride. They're like, oh, we're dead? Huh. Yeah. Let's learn the rules sparingly.
Right.
They don't swim through that book very quickly.
Well, they don't freak out. They don't, they don't burst into tears at the fact that, they just sort of accept it. Well, wow, we're dead.
Yeah, a little bit. I think they get a little stressed out when they
discover... He keeps working on his model.
He does. And they discover the desert sandworms that are immediately out. Is that supposed to be limbo? Like, what? I never could figure out what the hell that was.
Yeah, that's sort of that's the plot device that keeps ghosts inside their houses.
Oh, I see.
It's sort of, it's limbo.
Because otherwise they could just do whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah. And so, the happy couple, within, let's see, we're up to not 10 minutes, 7 minutes and 45 seconds.
I told you, it's like less than 10 minutes in that they eat it. And it's kind of sweet because they crash their car to avoid hitting a town dog.
Yeah. But then the dog murders them.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Screw you guys.
He's standing on a wooden plank. It's very Bugs Bunny in a way because the dog is standing on... Or Wile E. Coyote, rather.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's Wile E. Coyote like hanging on a very thin limb off the edge of the cliff, and the Roadrunner's sitting on the end of it. Meep, meep. And then he steps off the board and lets Wile E. Coyote fall to his demise or explosion or whatever.
It is interesting, though. I do have a thought that occurs to me, which is... This movie, I'd say this is a movie that only could have been done by Tim Burton. And I think that's true. I don't think anybody else could have done this as a comedy. I think, other people could have done it as a straight-up horror movie, which, it was sort of intended, if I'm right. Originally, they thought it was going to be a horror movie. But
yeah, because even in this mental floss... bit that I've got going on here, the early drafts of the script were apparently quote unquote far less whimsical. Mm-hmm. So, and when I think back on Beetlejuice, it came out the year that I was born, so it was kind of like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, where it was pretty ubiquitous on television. I saw it a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily sit down and watch it in my single digits, but it was very accessible. And this movie scared the crap out of me.
It was scary. The sandworms.
Those were the things of
terrifying.
Nightmares.
Yeah, and it's funny because they were terrifying as when we were kids, and they were intentionally designed to look stupid.
Yeah, because, you can't really take them too seriously as an adult, I guess.
Well, I mean, Tim Burton knew, look, we don't have any money for special effects. We have very little money for special effects. Just make it look campy and stupid.
And he made it work.
Yeah, he made it work. Which, I think this movie, I would love to see into a parallel universe where Peter Jackson directed this. Because I'd like to see Peter Jackson's Beetlejuice, and I would like to see Tim Burton's The Frighteners. And I think Tim Burton's versions of both movies would be better.
That's a really interesting Freaky Friday situation you set up for us.
Yeah, because it is, when you think about it, it is a sort of movie Peter Jackson would have done, but he would have done it in a very Peter Jackson-y way. And I'm not the biggest fan of Peter Jackson.
I'm getting that vibe. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the guy's movies, but I just like The Frighteners. The Frighteners is a really good movie, but I think if it was done by Tim Burton, it would have been a much better movie.
One Beetlejuice to rule them all.
Yes. I'm sorry.
That just happened.
That was...
I'll see myself out.
And moving on past that embarrassment.
Well, to get to the big crux of the plot is the Maitlands taking their death in stride and finding their home taken over by the very lush, rich Dietz family. With the mom has such horrendous taste in art,
none of which, by the way, has anything to do with the character of Beetlejuice.
No, it takes a minute to get to Beetlejuice because
he's almost a side character in the movie.
Yeah, in a weird way, because he's just a solution to their problem.
Yeah.
The Maitlands go to the DMV of death, and they are assigned like a case agent who was like, "Oh yeah, Beetlejuice used to be my intern," or
Juno, right?
Juno.
Juno.
Because the Maitlands go to her, and Barbara's like, "We're very unhappy," and the caseworker goes, "Well, what did you expect? You're dead."
Yeah,
so she's very.
It's pretty depressing, you know. It really is. I mean, and you know, of course, it ends up at the end of the movie with everything being hunky dory. One thing that I never noticed whenever I was a kid, and I mean, I saw this movie 1,000 times, but it was literally watching the movie again in preparation for this show, was this thing where they had to stay in the house for like, what was it? It was
like 150 years.
Yeah, like 150 years, and then they can go.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with where they can go. I think you only get 2 or 3 requests from your caseworker every like couple hundred years.
Well, because they say a couple times in the movie, like, oh, you know, it's only another 100 and something years, and it's like they're trapped there as ghosts.
Well, because they get caught there for longer than they think they've even been dead.
Yeah.
They go up to the caseworker and they're like, well, wait a minute. We've been dead for 6 months or however long it is. And she's like, yeah, you guys are burning through your favors really quickly. You can only contact me so often. And I think that's what it is. It has to do with favors.
Which is interesting because that's totally arbitrary. You know, so much of the how this movie works from a writing standpoint is totally arbitrary.
Yeah, the parameters of
requests.
It. Yeah, it's like the rules are just so random.
Yeah,
and that's why I said, like, if I found myself surprised by my own death, which I would like to assume that most people do, if I was handed a guidebook as to what to expect in the
I'd read
afterlife,
it cover to cover.
Yeah, I would have been all over that. I would have been highlighting passages. Mm-hmm. I would have been very studious, but they only seem to pick it up because they just kind of play things by ear. The Maitlands, and then when things don't go their way, like when the Dietzes show up, because they're fine being dead in their own house,
right?
Until other people show up, and then they're like, "Well, what the hell do we do about this?" And they look in the handbook, and it's like, "No, you should have been studying that. Well, be better students."
I like the fact that the only reason that she wasn't cleaning the house was because the broom was in the garage, and she can't get there because of the sandworms.
Well, she's got the smock, Jason. She needs to clean. She's a housewife,
and here we go,
with no children.
The great Catherine O'Hara, who I'm a huge fan of, and the great Jeffrey Jones. Are we allowed to call him great? Is that okay?
I mean, he's made a comeback, so I guess his child pornography. yeah, he's in Desert Worm Purgatory, as far as I'm concerned.
For those who don't know, Jeffrey Jones, who
the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
from Ferris Bueller, who was with Alec Baldwin in The Hunt for Red October.
And in Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp, Tim Burton's pet actor.
Yeah, and that movie wasn't, I mean, it's not a recent movie, but...
It was definitely after his child pornography thing. I would like to... I'm not sure. It might have been smack in the middle of it. Who knows? Yeah,
so if you haven't picked up on it, Jeffrey Jones, who otherwise is, he's a really good character actor.
Oh,
and he's great in this movie.
Yeah.
He had a little run-in with the law... But we can move past that and talk about Catherine O'Hara.
Just breeze right past that. Because Catherine O'Hara, a.k.a. the mom from Home Alone.
And the wife from Schitt's Creek, the TV series, which is basically if this character ended up losing all of her money and moving to a shitty town.
Literally, like, bankrupt Delia. Yep.
Yeah, basically.
I could see that. I need to watch that show.
And Winona Ryder.
And who invented the emo movement in this movie? Because oh god, she's like it's like the mother of vampires. She's just the queen of the emos.
Yeah, but she's emo, but you don't hate her.
No, she's not. She's not pretentious about it. She's genuinely emo.
Yeah.
She's not like one of you hipster emos out there. Get out of here, you hipster emos.
Well, because that's like rule number 3 about being emo is you have to be a pretentious douchebag.
Yeah, it's the opposite of Fight Club. Rule number 1 about being emo is you tell everyone and their mom about it. Yeah, kind of like being vegan or, whatever.
Yeah, how can you tell if somebody's a vegan? You don't have to. They'll tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we see we get introduced to Otho. Glenn Shadix.
Yeah.
Who was also in another movie with Winona Ryder, Heathers. He was the priest in the church when she and Christian Slater were offing everybody. So,
and he actually, when he died, at his funeral, per his request, I'm assuming, they actually played the Banana Boat song at his funeral, which I thought was a cool touch.
And for me, that's on par with the Jack Lemmon appearing in, having that written on his tombstone. Right. That's pretty hardcore awesome right there. But I love it's one of his first lines. He walks in and Otho and...
Save me from LL Bean.
Well, he and Catherine O'Hara in this movie almost have like a Jack and Karen kind of relationship, like Will and Grace, where they're just really in sync and sassy and bitchy together. And it's fantastic, but he's like, oh, so few clients are able to read my mind. They're just so droll with each other.
Yeah, and they really do establish this wonderful relationship that makes you hate them and want bad things to happen to them.
A little bit.
But Jeffrey Jones, you don't really want anything bad to happen to Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah, ironically enough, he's kind of the Mr. Rogers in this family. He bought this country house because he's like, girls, I know I've got this really emo daughter and this really tightly wound wife, but God, I just want somewhere to relax and read my books.
Yeah, I almost wonder if his plan was to, lead them out there to murder them, because that actually makes more sense than I'm going to live with them.
Yeah, it's quite
in this place that they hate.
It's an astute possibility. I mean, well, like you have Otho and Delia walking through the house, and so the Maitlands are trying to haunt the Dietzes out of their house
badly
in these really gruesome ways, like Gina Davis, who's hanging in a closet, so that answers Stewie's infinite question of, whatever happened to Gina Davis? She used to be in movies, but she's not in movies anymore.
I do genuinely wonder, though, about that, because Gina Davis was, she's good.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people really remember her from League of Their Own with Rosie O'Donnell and Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
There's no crying in baseball.
The funny thing is, though, okay, here's the thing with Gina Davis. Accepting this movie, because we're talking about it, and A League of Their Own, name 3 Gina Davis movies.
Movies, I can't, but I have seen her on several TV shows, including Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, but I know that she was in lots of movies, but I'm sitting here thinking, what are they? What were they?
Gina, if you could have your people contact our people, we'd love that.
Was she in a pirate-themed movie?
I honestly have no idea.
Was she in Hook?
No, she wasn't in Hook.
No, she wasn't in Hook.
Julia Roberts was in Hook, not Gina Davis.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Well,
they both have very big smiles, so maybe that's why you were confusing them.
I think Gina Davis is prettier than Julia Roberts.
Oh, shit. Shots fired.
Yeah. Well, because we know that Julia Roberts subscribes, and she's,
We've alienated her along with all of Australia, single mothers everywhere.
We actually haven't alienated Australia. Our numbers...
Yeah, apparently you Aussies enjoy being insulted. So.
Well, because, what do they care what a couple of Yanks think about them?
Yeah,
that's not going to bother them. No, our numbers actually, the audience figures that we've seen are surprisingly popular in Australia.
So
way to go, Australia.
Good on you guys. Thanks. Yeah. Keep listening, please.
Yeah, go fighting...
Go tie your wallaby down sport or something. I don't know. Very typical of Australia from what little we know of you guys.
Well, it's where Peter Jackson's from. It's where they filmed Lord of the Rings. Flight of the Conchords is from there.
It's business.
Oh, shit, wait.
No, they're New Zealander.
All 3 of those are from...
I was about to say, you're pissing off all of Australia so badly right now because they're all New Zealand. And you don't make... That's another Gilmore Girls thing, too. You do not mix up Aussies with New Zealanders. You don't do that. So, guys, get Jason for that one, not me. Okay, so anyway... Before we make our only fan base even angrier...
I know, I'll have to start singing Waltzing Matilda.
Yeah. But yeah, we're kind of facing one of those kitschy, tacky-looking sandworms, which, yeah, now that I look at them as a 30-something-year-old adult. They're not that scary looking. No.
Well, most of the things, I mean, honestly, I go back and watch movies that scared me to death whenever I was a kid. And, it's very rare for any of them to hold up as being even remotely scary or even remotely good. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, is one of the only ones that's
Another Johnny Depp movie.
What?
Johnny Depp is in that movie. He gets sucked into his bed.
That was Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
That was two? That wasn't the first one, was it?
It was the first one back in the 80s, yeah.
The waterbed?
I don't remember if it was a waterbed, but that was Johnny Depp who got sucked into his bed, yeah.
Johnny,
I love you.
Whenever I was just talking about what scared me, that scene is actually what, to this day, like, I saw that as a kid. And
still gives you that initial...
Oh my God, that scared...
That spooky feeling.
That and the girl that he pulled her veins out and he was walking her like a puppet.
ABC, he's Scary Terry. I hate that song, bitch.
Don't even trip, bro.
We got some pants for you.
Don't even trip, dog.
Hey, it's you guys.
I am wondering, watching this, where is the Chinese restaurant in that town? Because they're all sitting around eating Chinese takeout. Doesn't look like a town that would have a Chinese takeout restaurant.
That's racist. Every town has a Chinese takeout. It's mandatory
in Hollywood land. Yeah.
I mean, we live in Alpharetta, Georgia, and they've got several Chinese places within walking distance of here. So,
what are you saying about Alpharetta?
That we're kind of a
no, I'd like to know your opinion of Alpharetta.
That we're kind of low key, and you wouldn't exactly expect a lot of
keep digging.
A lot of non-country food because we're smack in the middle of Georgia. So
okay, that was good. You got yourself out of there pretty good.
Hey, I'm not going to piss off the Alpharettans the way you pissed off the Aussies. It's just I'm not doing it.
I thought you were going to piss off the Chinese food industry.
Oh no, I'm saying like we don't, as a town, we almost don't even deserve Chinese food. Like the Alpharetta used to have a log cabin in front of their high school. Yeah. So that's what I just don't think we.
Our little old Alpharetta's growing up.
But now we're a tech hub, so who knows? Now I guess we deserve Chinese food. So that's good. But yeah, so here we go. We get to the
Beetlejuice.
I had forgotten that his name was so hard to pronounce just based on looking at it because it looks like Beetlejuice or
well, that's what it is. Yeah, and that it's funny because, and again, having seen this movie a million times, it never clicked with me that his name is actually Beetlejuice. His name is actually the same name as the star, but they just say Beetlejuice, and that's the name of the movie.
Wait, there's a star called Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
I was unaware of that. Yeah. And I learned something today.
Yes. At least used to be, I think it was the largest star that we had, but it may not be anymore.
Nerd.
It may be like, other stars that either lose weight or someone. I was going to make a fat movie star reference, but I couldn't think of anyone.
Take it easy, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Anyway.
That's low. Michio Kaku, if anything.
Oh my God.
Michio Kaku would kick Neil deGrasse Tyson's ass.
Well, now it sounds like we got a challenge on our hands. But...
I would pay to go to Madison Square Gardens to see Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku cage fight.
Heavyweight kickbox the crap out of each other, but with their brains.
I'd like to see that, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so we got the Dietzes like violating the Maitlands house and...
Not like that.
Well, with ugly art and terrible sculptures, to clarify. And so the Maitlands do decide they've got to up their haunting game. Yeah, not gonna try. That was Jason trying to be ghetto, in case you heard that clanging. He's trying to open a bottle with a metal shelf.
I know it will work, but the problem is that I'm going to get Variant Brewing all over me, which normally I don't mind. But I suppose we should actually take this moment to give a shout out to Variant Brewing. Our favorite beer, and essentially the reason why I do this show is because I get subsidized with beer.
I get him
very good beer.
Yeah, Jason basically brings me onto projects because I bring him beverages. But he also knows that it's just not worth spilling a single drop of that Variant beer by opening it on a metal cabinet. And
I'm going way out of my comfort zone tonight. I thought I would try a beer that I've had every week of this. Was there one week I had something different?
I think what's funny is you varied very little. Yeah. You've gone from the Canton Street to the Norcross Street. Yeah. Or you started with Norcross Street Norcross. IPA, and then you ventured to Canton Street one week. And I think that was only because they were out of Norcross and you like it so much, so I brought you something else with the word street in it.
Oh, that's how
and
I
you
am
liked
with,
it.
Yeah, that's how I am with beer. I mean, once I find my beer that I like, I'm sold.
I can't tease you too hard because honestly, I'm still drinking the raspberry lemon goza, and I'm waiting for all those other delicious spring and summer flavors to come out. So, big ups to Variant Brewing.
Now let's talk a little bit about Michael Keaton.
Let's do.
Michael Keaton, who up until
this movie,
when did Birdman come out?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Birdman.
Bird person, sorry. God, that would be a much better movie.
Really? Phoenix person. Yeah. That's what we came up with? No, but yeah, Birdman, I want to say was 2017.
Yeah.
If memory serves.
So there was a pretty substantial gap in the...
Between 1988 and 2017?
Well, Michael Keaton did... I mean, he was still relevant after this movie. Michael Keaton, in my opinion, the best Batman ever.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. I loved Christian Bale up until he started. I was about to say, you got some interesting deep voice action going on with The Dark Knight because he changed his voice even more for that movie. And then by the time we got to the third one, Tom Hardy sounded like Sean Connery, but with a metal helmet on his head.
Yeah. See, and I can't really watch Christian Bale as Batman without thinking of Abed from Community.
Okay.
So you don't watch Community?
I don't, but I know
just,
who he is though. So, but I'm trying to. I don't understand what the connection is between those two characters.
All right, audience, just tweet it or something to her. I'm not going to take up your time explaining.
Yeah, at Darth_Jader_. Yeah, let me know.
You've got things to do. We respect your time here at Hindsight is Horrifying.
Except when we get off on tangents about Bird Person and, Michael Keaton. But
he's in the movie. It's not a tangent.
No, his other stuff going on. But did you know, Jason, that Sammy Davis Jr. was Tim Burton's original choice to play Beetlejuice?
I can't even imagine what that movie would have looked like.
And in case a lot of you younger people don't know, Sammy Davis Jr.
If you don't know who Sammy Davis Jr. was,
just get out.
Yeah.
Apparently Tim Burton originally wanted the Rat Pack member who was 63 at the time. So there's that. He wanted Sammy Davis Jr. to play Beetlejuice, and it was David Geffen, the producer, who suggested Michael Keaton. Mm-hmm. And this movie made Michael Keaton's career because whoever saw it made a direct connection and thought Batman. But
also a Tim Burton.
Oh, right. Okay, so that's not that far a leap. So there you go. Yeah. Tim Burton was like, yeah, he's playing an undead corpse. What is it that he calls himself? A bioexorcist freelancer.
And Michael Keaton, he ad-libbed most of his lines. The vast majority of what Michael Keaton says in this movie, he came up with.
That's pretty awesome. That's very Robin Williams and Aladdin of him.
But, yeah, it is... I can't even see Sammy Davis Jr. as Beetlejuice. I mean, you would literally have to take the entire movie and rewrite it from the ground, even though Beetlejuice is only in a little bit of the movie.
Yeah, it's like you said, he's kind of a supporting character. He does steal the show for how
and he
flamboyant and off the wall he is. Oh, big time.
Yeah.
But another person who might have completely changed the whole vibe of the movie is Angelica Houston. She almost was Delia Dietz, the mom.
Yeah.
So,
and I like Angelica Houston, but I think it was better with Catherine O'Hara.
I agree because you've got almost she's not a ditzy mom, but she's very oblivious to things that are going on around her because she's very self-absorbed. Angelica Houston, I feel like there would have been too much crossover with the Addams Family.
Okay. We're
back in the Dead People DMV.
Yeah, we have the movie playing in the studio and the
DMV / haunted house
where everybody is, evidently however you died, you are that way forever, even though
which is horrendous.
Well, yeah, even though Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis are neither wet nor gurgling water or anything like that, they're fine.
No, they've got no lacerations on their heads or anything. No blunt force trauma. They seem all right.
That's just we didn't feel like doing the makeup. But the guy. The guy who has the shrunken head.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna, and you at home can play along with us. I'm gonna scroll back in the studio to see that. When you see the shrunken head guy
Uh-huh.
Do you not see Steve Buscemi? No, it's coming up. Here we go.
I'm paying attention.
Hang on. Steve Buscemi.
That is cold.
No, doesn't it look like him?
Just because of the eyes, I think. Because Steve Buscemi's got some very disturbing eyes.
And I love Steve Buscemi. He's.
Is it Buscemi or Buscemi? I always said Buscemi.
I
find out for us listeners and tweet at me.
Steve,
let me know.
Bubby, tweet us. Let us know.
Get your people in touch with our people.
Because you are so much cooler than Johnny Depp.
Bitch.
Hey, I'll take Stevie B over Johnny Depp any day of the week.
Well, it's fine. You take Steve, I'll take Johnny. Everybody ends up happy. But yeah, to what you were saying a minute ago, how everybody kind of appears, how they died. There's this great gag of a woman sitting on the couch who was clearly a magician's assistant because she's been sawn in half and she's wearing a very flamboyant costume.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And there is the guy with the shrunken head. There's like some Vegas lounge act looking guy with a bib on his coat or something.
Yeah, and he's got the is that the one who choked on something and he's got the bone
I think he choked at the buffet. That's exactly.
And the guy in the sleeping bag with the snake.
And then the guy who literally has what looks like an inflatable shark gnawing up half of his leg.
Everybody's totally did the shark die?
I guess so. It's there with him in the DMV, so I have to assume so.
That seems like kind of a raw deal for the shark and the snake. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, because they're there, but maybe they're just there as props because that shark is about as realistic as, a pool toy. So who knows?
Yeah.
But we're coming up on when Lydia actually discovers the Maitlands. She discovers Alec
Played
Baldwin's...
by the mom from Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, for some of you younger folks. Which I saw the funniest meme about that show. I've watched a couple of episodes of it, but I know about the Upside Down and such, but they basically did a Fresh Prince remix to it where somebody superimposed Winona Ryder on the Fresh Prince throne, and it said, in West Philadelphia, or no, not in what, it was going to the West Philadelphia song, but it was like,
sing.
I'm not singing, but it basically, let me just... I don't even know, but it's like, let me tell you how my child wound up in the Upside Down. But it was doing it to the Fresh Prince song. It was, quit doing that. He's making this face at me. It's very
go on.
He throws me off my game.
No, we're all listening.
Yeah, let me tell you a story all about how my child wound up in the Upside Down. That's what it was.
I saw a Fresh Prince meme
with the genie
the other day. No, it was they took the scene where Will Smith is freaking out because his dad, played by Ben Vereen, abandoned him again, and they layered music from Twin Peaks over it.
Oh God!
And it was really, it's like, this is why the internet exists.
Somebody get Kyle MacLachlan on the phone, please.
I wish. You mean our greatest living actor?
I'm redirecting my attention back to Beetlejuice now. Oh, there's a great guy in the Dead People's DMV. He was clearly flattened by a car. And I want to know who did the makeup for him, because he's literally just tread marks from the tires that ran over him.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
This definitely, getting back to our theme of, I can't believe that they let us watch this. I looking at this movie, I'm really surprised my parents ever let me watch this, because the visuals are disturbing.
They are. Oh, and Flat Tire Guy, he's got the best dad joke ever. He zooms away, and I think he just said it because the Maitlands have just been ragged on by the receptionist in the DMV for, needing help after only 2 months being dead. But Gina Davis looks at the flattened by the car guy. She's like, hey, how are you? Or something. He goes, oh, I'm good, thanks. I've been feeling a little flat.
Yeah.
And then he just zooms away on his little conveyor belt. I've got to give some snaps out to that awesome dad joke. That was just masterful.
And now we have... It's almost a throwaway scene, but it's extremely important because as the Maitlands are wandering through the halls of the afterlife DMV, they just happen to open a door where a bunch of very bummed out looking spirits.
Very Slimer-looking apparitions because they're all green and just sort of...
Yeah, and they're all like, ooh, this sucks.
I think that might be the limbo as opposed to the desert wormland.
Yeah, well, that's where you go if you've been exorcised. So if an exorcist comes into your home and rids the home of the ghost, they end up in what is described as death for dead people.
Well.
Yeah. So it's a throwaway scene, and the only reason it's important is because at the end of the movie, conveniently, Ortho... Am I saying that right?
Otho.
Ortho or Otho?
Ortho
is a pest control, I think.
No, it is, but I'll double check. But
yeah, it's very, very conveniently turns out that he's also an exorcist.
Yeah, he's an interior... Yeah,
no, he's not an exorcist. He's a paranormal investigator, and he tries to summon them, and he begins accidentally exorcising them. So they start,
and sending them to that horrible limbo. Yeah. So, because, I mean, what interior decorator isn't doing exorcisms on the side? I ask you.
No, it's very... And again, though, but that's the thing about a movie like this, is that... And this is to Tim Burton's credit, and it's to the screenwriter's credit.
Right.
But you don't... In almost any other situation, you would never accept these coincidences.
No, never.
You would go, okay, come on now. Oh, he's also a paranormal investigator? Oh, how convenient.
Well, I mean, it's just the suspension of disbelief. It's kind of like...
I think it's artfully done in a way that it's just weird enough that you do actually... Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and leave it on Tim Burton to be like, oh, death is only the beginning, but not in a way that you think. There are giant sandworms, and you gotta haunt people. You gotta sing for your supper if you want to keep your possessions after you're dead. Right. You gotta haunt them out of your house. But it's such a bizarre movie, and I think despite it being pretty comedically, accomplished, like it makes you look at death in a different way. Because, some people are like, oh, you die and that's it. Some people believe in heaven or hell or whatever. Never in my single-digit childhood mind would I have been like, I have to haunt my own house when I die. Is that how it works? So, but yeah, here we get to the point where Juno, their caseworker, is basically warning them off of Beetlejuice. And her neck was clearly slit, and that's how she was killed, because she's smoking a cigarette, and smoke is coming out of the slit in her neck.
She must have done it to herself. Because that's the whole thing. All the people in the at the DMV, they all committed suicide.
No. The people, they didn't commit suicide.
Yeah, because the
Maitlands didn't commit suicide.
No. The customers of the DMV didn't. All the people working there. All the civil servants are people who committed suicide.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
So the guy who got flattened by the bus or whatever, he jumped in front of it.
Oh my God! You just it's like peeling an onion.
Yeah,
I missed that somehow.
Yeah, there's a line. In fact, I think it's when Otho. I think that's how they establish him as a paranormal investigator, because he says that. He says, everyone who commits suicide becomes a civil servant in the afterlife,
which is just a great joke in and of itself.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think that people who work at the DMV should be made to be civil servants in the afterlife. But that would be hell. So, who am I? A good reference to The Fly coming up.
Oh, yes.
This always creeped me out whenever I was a kid.
Because they've done a real zoom in to Alec Baldwin's little model of the town.
And the model, which they... it's interesting that Alec Baldwin, as part of his character, his character really centers around this model that he's building of the town. But they really do a good job of making the model part of the movie.
It's incredibly important to the plot, for sure. Especially because Beetlejuice tempts that poor little bug into his grasp with a Zagnut bar, of all things. Yeah.
But, it's... as a movie, sort of moving ahead a little bit, it's a movie that is really trying to be something unique. It's because it is a comedy. I mean, you can't watch Michael Keaton without thinking this is a comedy. But it's also, I don't know, there is a certain level of depth to it. Because it does, you're right, it makes you sort of sit back and sort of think about the afterlife.
Oh, yeah. And how you're probably going to get molested by a freelancer who lives in a fake model of a town.
Yeah.
Which, I never quite understood that as to why Beetlejuice is in the model. I didn't understand why he started out there. That always confused me.
I got the impression that Beetlejuice, he's limited in where he can go.
Just like the Maitlands.
Yeah. And because towards the end of the movie with, not Delia. Lydia. He tells Lydia, like, hey, I'd love to help you, but you've got to summon me to get me out of here.
And then they had to get married.
Which was that whole thing. Married by, incidentally, the little demon priest at the end of the movie. Yeah, that
looks like a dried out raisin.
Yeah, that is, I can't remember his name, the little person from Bad Santa.
No way.
That's him.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's killing me. I can't remember his name. He's been in a lot more than Bad Santa. He's been in a ton of stuff. But, yeah. So a little piece of trivia there.
I would never have known.
Yeah. Now, it is...
Tony Cox?
I think that's it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bad Santa, Myself, and Irene. Yep, that's him. So Tony Cox. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and a breakout role for him.
Well, like, it's a surprisingly star-studded movie considering how weird it is, and then considering what we were talking about, how Gina Davis and Michael Keaton were all 100% in for this movie, and apparently Alec Baldwin hates the fact that he ever had anything to do with it, which I can't understand.
No, Alec Baldwin, from what I understand, it's Michael Keaton's favorite performance, and it's Alec Baldwin's least favorite. Or most hated, however you want to,
however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
But it's funny to think because, Alec Baldwin, it's not like he did anything super crazy. You'd think it would be the opposite because Michael Keaton's the weirdo in this movie.
Right.
So he might be like, yeah, I regretted it. It's what made me famous, but it wasn't my favorite. Whereas Alec Baldwin, it's like, you are the most white bread person I've ever seen in my life in this movie.
He is.
What could possibly have bothered him about being a part of this film?
Yeah, and, I get it that it's not a very, it's not a serious role. It's not, oh, God, what else was Alec Baldwin doing at this time?
Back in the 80s? I can think of... Oh, you know what I'm mixing him up with right now is Rocky Horror Picture Show. I know it's not the same guy, but they...
Tim Curry?
No. The guy who plays Brad. The straight-laced guy with Susan Sarandon.
I hate that movie. Just throwing that out there. For those of you who are like big Rocky Horror fans, I hate it.
Get him.
I think it's one of the worst, shittiest movies ever made.
You can find him on Twitter and bash him.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Yeah, but bring it, seriously.
No, because Alec Baldwin wasn't in Rocky Horror Picture Show, but Brad, one of the main guy, was dressed almost exactly like him. Very straight-laced 80s guy, so that's why I sort of imagined that. But I can't really think of anything else that Alec Baldwin was in the 80s.
And I keep going back to The Hunt for Red October, but The Hunt for Red October was in 1990, so that was only 2 years after this.
Yeah, it's not that much time.
And I think
and all the other Baldwins, you got to cycle through them because you got Steven, Adam, Alec, Billy, and that's as many Baldwins as I know. I think there are more, but I'm not sure. But we are coming up on the iconic Banana Boat Day-O
which, again,
song.
This whole thing, and I knew this before I rewatched it, to prep for the show, but it hits you in the face when you're really analyzing it that this is the scene from the movie. It's the scene everybody remembers.
Knows it. Yeah,
and it has zero to do with Beetlejuice.
There's literally no reason for it to be there.
Beetlejuice isn't doing any of this.
No, it's the Maitlands.
Yeah, it's the Maitlands doing it.
And when people think back on this movie, I think that they believe that most of the mischief that happens to the Dietz family is done by Beetlejuice. He really doesn't even affect them until later in the movie when Otho screws up and, like you said, tries to summon Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin.
Right.
So there is that.
We are back.
But yeah, with the Banana Boat song, you kind of have to wonder where they even decided why that would be the song. Don't get me wrong. Once again, the most iconic scene in the entire movie. If you ask anyone.
Oh, yeah. This is the scene that if you remember Beetlejuice...
This is it.
This is the scene. And it is. It's an inspired choice. It's one of those things where, if you do a by-the-numbers movie, you're not going to think... Hey, let's put some Harry Belafonte music in there.
Right. Well, especially, I wonder if it would have been different if Sammy Davis Jr. had played Beetlejuice, because they probably would have included some Rat Pack songs or something.
Yeah.
I have no idea what, but like...
Catherine O'Hara is so perfect in this scene.
Oh, it's like she sang the song herself. Yeah. She's like...
But the look on her face, the look of what the hell is happening to me is you know...
While doing Calypso.
While doing it, you know...
Every single one of them did a great job, though, because it's just such bizarre choreography where you're sort of smacking yourself with a napkin in the face while doing Calypso and singing Harry Belafonte.
And evidently, Tim Burton thought that this scene was... He didn't think it was bad, but he was completely convinced that nobody was going to like this scene. Like, when he watched it, he came back and he was like, it's not funny, it doesn't work.
Well, and I think that's what ended up... That might be the mystery of what drew so many kids to this movie. Because it's so silly and out of context that it just worked. And it was a nice, light moment for kids to be like, oh, look at all the grown-ups just slapping themselves and doing whatever.
Right, yeah.
So, because like you said, like, people in our age range, that this is what they remember. And I think that's why, because it lightens the content.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is funny because, you know, the Maitlands are trying to scare them by making them all do something very silly. And they just have the little scary afterthought with the shrimp at the end.
Yeah, with grabbing everyone by the face.
With the disgusting-looking shrimp that even if it wasn't for the fact that they were, you know, possessed, they still look terrible.
They still look like fingers.
Yeah, they look like
which
fingers.
They turn into. So, and then grab everyone by the face. And what's really hilarious about this whole movie is that it is funny in the sense that the Maitlands are doing some pretty spooky stuff.
Yeah.
But it keeps backfiring on them. And the Dietzes are like, oh my gosh, this house is going to be a landmine. We can sell it for the haunted experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it does sort of... My theory...
Or gold mine. I think I said landmine, listeners.
I think you did,
I think I was going for something different.
Yeah, I was just trying to move past it, but let's dwell on it. This movie, though, my theory is that the Maitlands, before they ever died, were crazy. They have to be lunatics. Because, first of all, only two people who were just, you know, narcissists and lunatics could die and react to it the way they do, which is just, oh, we're dead. Huh.
At least we're together. Let's just keep doing what we were doing.
Yeah, let's keep our house forever. That's another thing, too, is that they don't think in terms of, well, wait a minute. I mean, we're dead. These people aren't bad who are moving into our house. They bought a house. You know?
Yeah. Might as well room up with them, you know.
The Dietzes didn't do anything wrong.
No, they didn't. The Maitlands are they just want their home back to themselves. And, I don't know. You can sort of see their point of view, though, because if they want to rest in peace and they've got to do it actively, I guess they want to be comfortable and have things the way that they used to be. But it's like, you're right at the same time, to play devil's advocate. The Dietzes, they just bought a pretty house out in the country.
Yeah, that's it. You know, now, admittedly, when they find out they have a ghost or two ghosts, you know, they get Lydia. You know, Lydia
is the only one who can see them.
Yeah, so it's like, Lydia, get them to come downstairs and, you know, get them to, you know, put on a little dog and pony show for us.
Well, it reminds me of when I was a kid, because I had this little Schnauzer who I taught to do all these different tricks. And every time people would come over, my mom would be like, get your dog, and show us what he can do. It's so funny. You're going to love this. And that's kind of how they treat Lydia. They're like, go get your ghost pets. Go make them perform for us.
And it's so ridiculous that apparently their whole idea is that they're going to make a theme park surrounded, you know, or built around the theme of...
Yeah, they're going to sell the experience. It's like the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. They're just going to sell haunted experiences in their haunted house.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's an idea. And of course, it's one of those things that even when the idea is explained to people in the movie, they think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You know.
On paper, it seems bad, and then in practice, it's bad, because the Maitlands are like, we're not your trick ponies. That's not what we're here for.
So, of course, the Maitlands then, you know, in a fit of pique, you know, at being offended, you know, they ask Beetlejuice to step in and try to kick the
hauntings up a notch. Yeah.
And we get
which he does.
He does.
He brings it right out of the starting gate, because they summon him with the classic Beetlejuice, because that's how you get Beetlejuice to show up on the scene, is say his name 3 times.
Apparently, if he just showed up, he's over in the corner of the studio right now.
And he's, oh dear God.
Yeah, he's cool though.
He's just chilling.
He's very quiet. He's actually a very shy guy. You know, Beetlejuice, to make this movie, he really had to sort of get out of his comfort zone.
Come out of your shell a little bit.
Yeah.
Shed that snake skin.
So I guess it's Beetlejuice's intervention that nobody dies in this scene, because one person falls down the stairs and another one is dropped from the second floor head first.
Well, because it's like he says, he's the bioexorcist, so he's not exactly gentle in his hauntings, because the Maitlands don't go out of their way to hurt the Dietzes.
Yeah.
They just want to scare them into leaving, but Beetlejuice shows up on the scene as a giant snake with Michael Keaton's face.
Yeah.
And, like you said, is just violently tossing people around, and then he gets a really creepy look when he finds Lydia. And so luckily Barbara Maitland stops him in time before he murders Lydia or whatever he was going to do to her.
Yeah, and of course Lydia's all upset. And, you know, I'm going to go be on Stranger Things.
40 years from now.
I'm going to go prep. For my powerhouse performance.
Hey, it's like she's already in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
She had all the training she needed.
I like Winona Ryder. I'm just making a joke.
No, she's amazing.
No, and she is actually genuinely very good in Stranger Things.
And she's good at darker roles anyway. Like in Girl Interrupted, that's one of her best performances as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But, so she's 13 or 14 years old in this movie. But now Beetlejuice is irate because the Maitlands stuck him back in the model.
Yeah.
And he wants to finish the job and get the house haunting done with. But he's basically just pissed off at being trapped.
Yeah.
So his whole shtick is just to get people to say his name so he can run free and wreak havoc.
Yeah. Well, he ends up going to the little, scale model.
The little cat house.
Whorehouse, yeah. Which, again, Mom and Dad. What?
How in the hell were we allowed to watch this?
They must not have walked in the room at any point during this movie.
Well, because what is this movie rated?
PG? No, it's got to be PG-13.
I would have to guess so, because the content is just... But, I mean, back in the 80s, they were a little bit looser with that, so...
Yeah. No, but...
But who knows? I mean, like, this... Oh, yeah, it was PG. And this is
PG,
one of those shows, just like Ghostbusters, that also inspired a cartoon later down the way.
Yeah.
So,
ooh.
Yeah,
Beetlejuice the cartoon. If you would like to hear us review Beetlejuice the cartoon, tough. I'm not doing it.
Get out.
I'm not subjecting myself to that. We'll watch Clerks, the animated series, and
hell
pretend
yes.
we're watching Beetlejuice and talk about that.
Wait, why do we have to pretend it's Beetlejuice?
That's a good point.
Randall Graves. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
He's too good. But, yeah, so Beetlejuice is stuck in the model, and there's more to the movie than I remember there being. I remember it being a shorter movie.
Yeah.
There is this great joke going on right now where a football team...
It's not a very long movie. It's only... it's like 95 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't remember all this back and forth between the social worker and... especially this great joke that's happening where a football team died in a plane wreck.
Right.
Somehow inexplicably dressed in their football uniforms while on a plane.
Yeah.
But they crashed, and they keep calling Juno. They're like, "Hey, coach, what are we supposed to do?" And she's like, "I'm not your damn coach. Like, come on."
Now, the movie does take, it's weird to say it, but the movie does take a dark turn with Lydia, she
decides that she doesn't want to be on this mortal coil anymore.
Yeah, she wants to kill herself. Though she is now aware of what death is like, and it's not all that pleasant.
But it's a weird kind of loyalty that she has, because in her eyes, her parents are taking advantage of these poor, innocent ghost souls that live in the house that have no choice but to be stuck there forever, and she wants to be dead so she can be with the Maitlands.
Right.
And she feels trapped with her parents, and the Maitlands feel trapped in their house, and I think she's just been relating to them. So she decides that she too wants to die, but she doesn't find the Maitlands because they're off talking to their caseworker.
Right.
And, who does she happen upon but Beetlejuice?
Yeah, and how couldn't you be convinced?
By this half green, half white rotting person who is like, "Oh yeah, I can definitely make sure to kill you or whatever you want to happen, but you gotta marry me, little girl."
Yeah.
And that's not creepy at all.
This sounds like a great idea. Let's go through with it.
Yeah, because Michael Keaton had to be in what I'm guessing is late 20s, 30s during this movie, and Winona Ryder would have been about 13.
Yeah.
So it seems legit,
Yeah. And, it is actually kind of funny that they can turn him marrying her into something that's worth a chuckle.
Oh, yeah. It was actually kind of funny to watch.
It's funny. But again, that goes back to the director and the performers, that you're and look, to Winona Ryder's credit, for an actress this young to be able to play this
and deal with that kind of content,
and keep it. She rides the line very well between I'm a mopey, sad teenager who wants to kill myself, and this is all kind of funny.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Winona Ryder was born a 40-year-old, at least emotionally.
Yeah, I don't think she was ever just the.
She was never
bubbly,
just a kid.
Effervescent, kid type.
Yeah, you don't get Johnny Depp to tattoo your name on his arm by being the bubbly type. That's just not how that works.
I think you do that by paying his mortgage now, these days.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He's Grindelwald. He doesn't need anybody to pay his mortgage.
I don't know. Let's see what happens when his ex-wife gets finished with him in this lawsuit.
Which one, Amber or the French one?
I don't know.
Oh, goodness.
I'm
Stop talking smack about something you don't know about.
I don't. My knowledge of Johnny Depp is, look.
Mine is vast, so bring it.
Johnny Depp and Tim Burton are two people who have not made anything worth watching in a very long time, in my opinion. Now,
as a team, sure, but get out, Jason. And anybody who agrees with Jason, you can get out too.
But in my top 10, maybe in my top 5 of all-time greatest movies ever made.
Ed Wood?
Ed Wood.
I knew you were going to say that.
Ed Wood is the most perfect movie I've ever seen. It hits every note absolutely brilliantly. Johnny Depp in that movie is phenomenal.
Oh, especially in the scene where he's dressed in drag and he's window shopping, as it were. He's walking down the street and sees like this pretty outfit set of pearls, and he just sighs.
That's when they're filming Glen or Glinda.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic movie. Everything works in that movie. And then I'm trying to think what else Tim Burton did after. He did Mars Attacks after that, which I really liked. And
Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm not a fan of that movie.
Yeah. I think I would be a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's one of those things where by the time I got around to seeing it, so many people had told me it was the greatest movie ever that there was no way it could ever live up to the hype.
That was Finding Nemo for me. So many people talked about it too much, so I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, that is a huge problem with movies that, that's like I know somebody who recently watched Blade Runner, and the problem with Blade Runner for him was that for years people had said, this is the greatest science fiction movie ever made. It's the greatest ever.
And in context, it probably was, but these days it's kind of like when I was watching old King Kong and The Blob with Steve McQueen, which isn't even the original version.
No, that's not even.
But I was looking at the special effects in those movies and I was just like, Daddy, what is this? And it's kind of underwhelming. He goes, trust me, back in the day, that's as real as it got. So it's kind of like the, CG that we see these days. But speaking of effects and CG, like we're at the point in the movie where Otho is summoning the Maitlands, and the makeup that they do.
I just realized there's probably some poor guy who's trying to watch along with us, and he doesn't realize that we're skipping around.
That we've skipped so much ahead. Yeah, we talk straight through. We don't pause the movie when we get off on tangents, listeners. That's probably some relevant information for you.
This is not an audio commentary.
But honestly, it was kind of some padding that was happening. I mean, obviously, Lydia, they had to get the Maitlands out of the way so that Lydia could get in trouble and make a troublesome deal with Beetlejuice, and now the Maitlands are being summoned by Otho, aka the interior decorator, who throws some of the best shade I've ever heard in this movie. Like, he's making fun of I think he's making fun of Delia, but at one point he says, "Oh, don't mind her. She's still upset because someone dropped a house on her sister."
One of the best lines.
Some mad bitchy shade.
Yeah.
And he is making fun of Delia.
I see the Julia Roberts thing now.
Yeah, with the mouth.
Yeah.
They both have really big, dazzling smiles. But at another point...
This is also the scene where she's, turning into a... You missed the joke.
Turning into a corpse.
The joke was, yeah. Sorry.
I was just sort of going to gloss past it because I don't hate Julia Roberts like you apparently do.
I don't hate her, but, she's fair game.
All right, Julia, I'm sorry. I love you. Jason doesn't. But, yeah, Otho is also messing with Delia for her crappy sculptures.
Because she's better. Anyway.
Shut up. Because he's making fun of her terrible sculptures and stuff, but he's like, Delia, you're a flake. You've always been a flake. If you want to scare people, do it with your sculpture. And he's such a bitchy queen.
She is potentially the worst artist in the history of art.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Without question. But and now we see Beetlejuice in his iconic sort of prison suit.
Yeah.
Suit. Where it's got the
suit he wore in the cartoon.
Yeah, the one. Well, that's what I picture Beetlejuice in because he's in so many different outfits in this movie. Like he's got the spiky coveralls, and then he dresses just like Alec Baldwin at some point.
The cowboy costume.
The cowboy. He's got the khakis, just like Alec Baldwin at one point. Like he's got so many different outfits. He's like Beyonce. He's got about 6 costume changes in this one show,
and almost as big an ego.
Bye, Beyonce. Bye.
Yeah, because Beyonce is just tuning in every week.
Hey, all the single ladies.
All the single ladies?
Tune out.
All the single ladies.
All of them. Put your hands up, because Beetlejuice is about to enter this club and tear it up. But yeah, he shows up and Lydia has agreed to marry him, and he turns their house into this sort of sideshow circus carnival while the Maitlands are being sucked dry by Otho.
Yeah, and he does this, and no one runs from the house screaming their heads off.
Well, I mean, you think they would have done that at the first dinner that they had, where the shrimp grabbed them by the face. But that's what I was saying. Everything that the Maitlands and Beetlejuice do has kind of, it backfires.
Is this the scene where he's got Jack Skellington's head on top of the... There's some reference people have said...
Like some sort of Easter egg to
it's like, is that, even though it came out after this movie.
Yeah, well after. I have no idea, because I hate Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there.
That was a movie that I still give my mother a hard time about, because I was about 5 when that movie came out, and my parents were like, same guy who made a Beetlejuice, this will be great. And they took me to see Nightmare Before effing Christmas. And I was just like,
I saw Nightmare Before Effing Christmas. Much different movie.
Was it a porno?
Yeah.
It sounds like a porno. No, but yeah, we went to go see Nightmare Before Christmas, and that movie just terrified the crap out of me. But, part of the deal Lydia did make, she rescued the Maitlands.
Yeah.
Because Otho did summon them, and he's hurting them, but Beetlejuice promised to rescue them.
And I do love that what Beetlejuice does to Otho is...
Put him in a powder blue suit. And that's what ruins Otho's life. He just gets this look of horror, starts crying, and runs screaming out of the house.
I like that suit. I would wear that. I would wear it.
Zoot suit riot over here.
No, it's not a zoot suit.
I know it's not a zoot suit, but it's just... I know, but it's just so bright.
That's for the businessman on the go who...
That's California casual right there.
Likes to kick back and,
Oh, sweet Lord. But yeah, so... Beetlejuice is just handing out snakes as party favors and, combing his hair, getting all ready to be a groom. And it's funny, his back and forth with himself, because he's like, and then he's got that horrible 70s prom tuxedo with the ruffled shirt. Should we get married, other
Beetlejuice? Yes, we should, other Beetlejuice. Yes, we should.
Yes, we should. Hey, pumpkin pie.
That creeped me out so much when I was a kid. When Alec Baldwin's jaw falls off.
Yeah.
That scared the
It's pretty disturbing.
It really is. Yeah.
But now, as a 30-something-year-old woman, I look at Gina Davis, who grabs his jaw and immediately tries to put it back, and I'm like, oh, # relationship goals.
It's like Jackie Onassis. Oh, God.
That was rough.
I can't believe I just went there.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
Now the Kennedys are going to have you assassinated or put into a mental hospital.
There's not that many of them left.
Well, they might put you in the Grey Gardens house. You don't know.
That's cool.
You know those two.
I know.
The Edie's. Yeah. I was about to say they're Kennedys too, distantly or otherwise. But yeah, so now we're watching Lydia about to get married to Beetlejuice, and he is having another Barry moment where he's just
Here he is, folks, straight from Bad Santa.
And you wouldn't even recognize him. He's aged so well.
Yeah, he has. He has aged very well.
God.
Yeah, the wedding scene is interesting because they go as, sort of 1920 slapstick as they can possibly go.
And they kind of rush through it, too.
They do, yeah.
It was the resolution of this movie, especially since it's so simple to banish Beetlejuice back to his little, model. All you have to do is say his name 3 times. There are 4 adults and a child in the room, and Beetlejuice he's got kind of limited powers. It's not like,
he really does.
It's not like he can, quiet everyone all at once. But, I guess the Maitlands don't really count until they start to regenerate, because he does save them, and then, his tap dancing scene with Alec Baldwin's teeth. That's always great.
Yeah,
because he sucks Alec Baldwin's teeth out of his mouth so he can't say the word Beetlejuice. He literally zips Gina Davis's face shut.
And then he bolts it shut.
Yep, bolts it shut. Oh, wait, does he bolt it or zip it? I don't know.
He zips it first, she unzips it.
Oh, yeah, she unzips it. But, yeah, it's a very Acme moment.
Yeah, he's very much an evil Wile E. Coyote.
And, that's a perfect description. Maybe he was the dog that let the Maitlands fall off the bridge. He was just in a different form. But you would think that Lydia's parents would have caught on to this. Oh, no, he's got their faces covered. That's what it is.
So Jeffrey Jones's face isn't covered.
I thought that snake thing was covering his
mouth.
Oh,
was it? Because I know that she's got the sculpture, over her mouth.
Yeah. And I see what you mean about the 20 slapstick, because Beetlejuice is looking for Lydia's ring, and he's pulling snakes out of his pocket.
Right.
And just all these little wind-up toys and all this random crap.
It's just a campy, and now, Alec Baldwin is driving the little model truck.
Yeah, he was banished to his own model, and now he's driving the truck off the side of the table. And
Gina meant nothing to me.
Pulls a ring that's attached to a finger still out of his pocket. She meant nothing to me, babe. Don't worry about it. That's what every woman wants to hear when she's getting married at 13. Yeah, and I don't know what Alec Baldwin was expecting to really accomplish with that, because you're right.
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones's mouth is wide open. He could have said Beetlejuice. And then let's end the movie scene.
Yep. Gina Davis riding one of the sandworms that just eats Beetlejuice.
Yeah, the ending is not good.
Nah, it's kind of clunky.
It is, because the only setup, the only thing they did to establish that Gina Davis could ride a sandworm was that one scene earlier when they're attacked by the sandworm and Gina Davis punches it in the mouth.
Oh, yeah, she slaps it in the nose like it's a dog, and you're just like, okay.
That's literally the only thing, and then, she could evidently control them, I guess.
Sure, why not? But it's like
Lydia immediately becomes not goth.
Oh, yeah, she's...
hardcore.
She pulls several 180s, but winds up in this really random spot where she's suddenly a Catholic schoolgirl who rides her bicycle to school.
Yeah.
But now they've just got this really harmonious setup at the Maitlands' house where the Maitlands are living in happy synchronicity with the Dietzes.
Yeah, and I do have to admit, it's a very pleasant ending.
Big time. And you get some more Calypso, some more Harry Belafonte.
And this is actually, in my opinion, the better Calypso scene. Because I think Winona Ryder really sells this.
Well, what kid wouldn't want... if I were her age when they were making this movie and I had been cast as Lydia, I would have been like, wait, you're going to put me on wires and I'm dancing to Harry Belafonte? Yeah. Hell yes, I don't care what the pay is. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, she really pulls this off. And it's a genuinely sweet, scene.
It is. Well, because, she finally gets to live in peace with these parents who sort of help her out of her dark side, I guess. They're more... And everybody gets what they want. The Maitlands get the kid they always wanted. She gets the parents that she always wanted. And her parents are just totally fine with the situation, evidently.
Right. Yeah. So. Well, look, they've got a lot of money put in this house. They can't just move. You better deal with it.
Yeah, that's true. You're not going to... Because they were hoping to make some income off of the hauntings. But I love the reward system that the Maitlands have going on with Lydia at the end. Yeah. Because she had to get an A on her math test, I think, or pass her math test in order to get to essentially be haunted.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're possessing her and making her float up in the air. And, well, not possessing her, but they're dancing around to shake, shake,
Gina
shake,
Davis
Sonora.
Has big feet.
Yeah, huh?
Gina Davis has big feet. They show it frequently.
Do they?
Yeah, it just jumps out at me.
Oh, Must not have been on her rider to cut off the
I guess.
film at her feet. But yeah, it's funny because Lydia's parents are upstairs and they start hearing the Harry Belafonte, and the dad's like, "Oh, I guess Lydia got an A on her test." And then we go back to the DMV with Beetlejuice, who's been banished there for now.
Next to Steve Buscemi.
Yes, a.k.a. Shrunken Head Guy.
It looks exactly like Steve Buscemi.
Oh my god.
It does.
I'm sure Steve Buscemi thinks that's really funny. And meanwhile, there's this native guy sitting next to Beetlejuice with like a headdress.
Yeah,
and he doesn't
a witch
seem...
doctor.
Yeah, witch doctor. That's the best word for it, because Beetlejuice sees that he's got a smaller number and he's further up in line for the DMV and thinks he's being sneaky and gives him his number.
Yeah.
Swaps it out thinking he's being all cool, and then the witch doctor shrinks Beetlejuice's head, so now Beetlejuice is Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. But he's okay with it because the last thing he says is, this might be a good look for me.
Well, it's like that meme I was telling you about the other day that really, it worked on so many layers where it showed somebody had superimposed Heath Ledger as the Joker into the DMV of Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And Beetlejuice is sitting next to him on a couch, and they both have all the face makeup going on, and Beetlejuice looks at Heath Ledger, or the Joker, and he's like, "That's some really nice face makeup. I'm Batman."
He's the best Batman.
Oh, and the football players on the staircase when Lydia's dancing,
for no
and they're all
reason whatsoever.
They didn't tie into the story at all.
Nope.
But I mean, that's pretty much it. So, is there a particular reason why you chose this for some of our episode content? Why?
I was in a hurry, and you kept asking me to come up with something, and it just came into my head.
False. I actually wanted to do, I think, another movie that you vetoed. And
what movie?
At one point, I wanted to do The Emperor's New Groove, but it didn't really have the adult content that we were looking for anyway.
No. You wanted to do the movie with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, Rover Dangerfield, yes.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you want us to do that, just tweet me. We'll do it.
Yeah, go for it. You can tweet all you want. I'm not doing it.
I'll bring on somebody else who likes Rover Dangerfield.
We'll have a guest, and I'll be just in the background.
Jason will produce like he did on Hercules.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Hercules with Meg.
So next up, the next episode that we are going to be recording, I am looking forward to, because we are looking back at a movie that is just schlocktastic.
Oh, goodness.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. We're recording it after tomorrow.
Little Nicky? Oh, no, wait. Oh, sorry.
Oh, my God.
Oh, The Mummy.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was thinking about
thinking
our conversation at rehearsal the other day, but yeah, our next episode that we'll be recording, so it'll be a little while before it gets released, listeners, but we will be doing Brendan Fraser's The Mummy.
Yes, the seminal role, the role that defined Brendan Fraser as an actor.
It made him famous, just like Beetlejuice made Michael Keaton famous. So,
yes, and it worked out just as good.
It worked out for about 10 years.
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Fraser.
Yeah, Fraser. There's no I in his name. Yeah. But it also includes Rachel Weisz and Imhotep, the guy who invented dad jokes in ancient Egypt, as we've discussed on prior episodes.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz, the wife of James Bond.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool, and
she's the actual Bond girl in real life.
Yeah, and she's also a fantastic actress.
Oh, yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's incredible. I think that's about it. We will not be recording tomorrow because we have rehearsal.
For an upcoming project that we'll be announcing on the podcast
we will,
later to come.
This is what they call teasing, for those of you who care.
Are you titillated, listeners? You should be.
God, I hope not.
You need a dictionary. Read a book.
I really hope not.
But yes, so as always, we're taking suggestions, and we're actually happy to answer questions if you want to know why we choose the content that we do, or if you just have general questions or suggestions, we are more than willing to take those.
Yeah, and I do have one rule as far as the suggestions go, because we have had some suggestions, and no offense to anyone, but we're not doing Pokemon.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that until now. That was a unilateral decision that Jason made for us both.
Yeah, but we're not doing Pokemon.
But any and all suggestions can obviously be made at our email at hindsightishorrifying@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter. Wait.
That's not our email.
What is it? Oh, I always mess up our email. So, sorry. Scratch that. Our emails are Jason at hindsightishorrifying.com.
There you go.
Then I am Darth Jader at hindsightishorrifying.com. I think I've been doing all of our social media tweeting wrong, too. So there's that.
Oh, my God.
I can go back and correct it. It's
We're
okay.
professionals.
And
are
we, though?
And you can find us on Twitter. I'm
at Hindsight Horror.
Yep.
That's the actual official podcast Twitter. Then Jason is
North Foggy. You can follow me, and you can see it's very exciting.
Oh goodness!
Because I'm doing scale models, and so I'm posting photographs as I'm building scale models. I know that is thrilling to you.
He is a Ben Wyatt level nerd, listeners.
Yeah. So if you want to see pictures of a Tamiya 148th F4U Corsair, you know where to go.
I just died of nerddom.
And now let's see, can you do your Twitter handle in one go?
I already did it, actually, this episode, at Darth_Jader_.
Amazing.
Yes.
There we have it.
I can't get our email right to save my life, but, you know.
And we're going to be on Facebook.
We will, yes. Yeah. Well, I'm working on getting us a Facebook page, but...
Well, it's very difficult to use Facebook nowadays because they keep breaking
the rules.
It. Yeah, every day they've broken Facebook in another way.
Yes.
So there's a bit of a curve there. But please, if you like the show, or if you hate the show, that's fine. Tweet to us, follow us, send us an email. Vitriol. Yeah, because... we want to know what the audience would like to hear us talk about. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure that if we have enough people send us suggestions, one of them will be halfway decent, and and we'll think about doing it.
Especially if it comes from an Australian listener.
Yes. Hey, Aussies, pick something with Jennifer Connelly in it. I'm just in a mood. You know.
That's not an episode. This is an episode. I'll sue myself out again.
And on that bombshell...
we'll see you guys next time. Keep visiting our website, hindsightishorrifying.com, for all episodes. What? That's our website, isn't it?
Yes, that's our website.
Oh, I thought you were laughing at me because I'd messed that up too. Anyway, hindsightishorrifying.com for all episodes that we've released thus far. And you can catch all of my awesome episode descriptions and maybe hear Jason laughing at me even there.
And thank you all very, very much for listening. Thank you for spending your evening or day or drive time with us. Take care, and we will see you very soon.
Laters.